And now continue to Egypt, which has handed down death sentences to 75 people, including senior Muslim Brotherhood figures, over their alleged security-related offenses during a 2013 sit-in in Cairo. Judicial sources say Brotherhood leaders Essam, el-Erian, and Mohamed Beltagi are among those sentenced to death by hanging. Others being tried in the case, including Brotherhood spiritual leader Mohamed Badie, were handed life sentences. The sit-in, held in support of ousted President Mohamed Morsi, ended up with the death of hundreds of Brotherhood supporters and dozens of police officers when security forces violently dispersed the crowd. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is Egypt's oldest opposition movement, was outlawed by the administration of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in July of 2013. Crossing over to Paris, joined by political analyst Mr. Saeed Zulfikar. Thank you so much for being with us. Your take on these sentences, many would say they appear to be quite harsh to be basically what was a sit-in, and then of course it was the security forces who then attacked demonstrators. Your take?
Well, of course, you're right in saying it was a sit-in, but it was a violent sit-in in times. I was in Cairo at the time. It was quite violent, and about 45 police officers were killed in the process. Now, at least 900 on the other side, on the protesters' side, also died, which makes a huge number. It's comparative to, you can compare it to Tiananmen Square massacre in China in the early 80s, 1981. My take is that, this is the first instance judgment. They will appeal. I doubt very much if any of these sentences will be in fact implemented. There were 739 individuals judged on this case. They were judged on the 28th of July, just over a month ago. And out of these 739, 75, as you have just said, were sentenced to death, of whom only 44 are present. There are 31 who are sentenced to death in absentia. Now, as you said also, that very important people have been sentenced to death. That's Mohamed Beltagi, Essam al-Erian, and Safwat Hijazi, three of the top leaders. I doubt very much that any of these sentences will be carried out. They will appeal, and on appeal, they will either be reduced or nothing will happen. They'll just drag on. Now, the actual head of the Brotherhood, Mohamed Badie, was sentenced to life imprisonment together with 56 other individuals. And the rest, something like 350, were sentenced to 15 years, and another 300 sentenced to 10 years. These are extremely harsh sentences, but it's not the first time. We already had, about 2 years ago, 1,200 people sentenced by one judge in Minya province to death. Mm-hmm. Not one has been executed. They all appealed, and on appeal, many of them were acquitted. Now, this is likely to happen again. What is happening is that there is a growing resentment among the population due to economic hardship, very grave hardship, following the signing over a year ago of the agreement, the economic and financial agreement with the International Monetary Fund, whereby the Egyptian currency was devalued by 100%, which meant that everything, practically everything, has doubled in price. For the poor people, this is tremendous. And so from a very popular government, which used to, Sisi was elected with 96% of the voters voting for him in the first instance. In the second instance, I was also in Cairo at the time, when there was a second re-election, only about 20% of the population went to the booths to vote, which showed a certain lack of enthusiasm for the regime. And now I think with economic hardship, things are getting much worse.
Okay.
The resentment is much worse.
All right, we'd love to talk to you again. Love to talk to you again, but we're out of time right now for our top five. Appreciate you being with us out of Paris, Mr. Saeed Zulfikar, political analyst.